This is a bittersweet sort of event, really, for all of you here tonight who have worked with Sherie or who are friends of Sherie.
The person who drove my ethics was Sherie de Burgh. She looked at how she was documenting the stories of the women who came to her in the counselling service there, and how that might be made available in an ethical way for research purposes. And ultimately we produced together this document I called, very facetiously, The Reality of Abortion for Irish Women. I remembered that I had dedicated the thesis to Sherie, and I just wanted to read a couple of words from that dedication. I dedicated this thesis to Sherie de Burgh, whose selfless dedication to helping women is inspiring. And Sherie did inspire me.
She had that incredibly warm embrace that served to keep our hopes up that we would change the law, that we would eventually see the compassionate need for the legalisation of abortion in Ireland. Of course, Sherie had died so sadly before the referendum 3 years ago today, as we know, so she didn't see it come to pass. But I think she was such a shining light and in such a dark period when there was really such a small pro-choice movement, and a movement that was really in I think facing such a backlash and where we always felt we were in such a minority.
Catherine mentioned this book, The Irish Journey. Any of us who had it at the time have fairly pristine copies of it because we treasure it. That lives in a plastic sleeve usually. In my library at home, it doesn't come out very often. It was part of an effort to begin the reframing of the discussion around abortion rights in Ireland in a series of events called Voices of Reason. I created that title, Voices of Reason, but I was very much thinking of one voice of reason when I gave it that name, and that voice belongs to Sherie de Burgh.
I met Sherie back when Abortion Support Network was just a gleam in my eye. Sherie was the kindest and nicest person I ever met in my entire life. She had a way about her that made you feel seen when she looked at you, and really heard when you spoke to her.
She taught me so much about life, about myself, about how to be happy, about how to be the best that I can be. I think there are probably whole libraries of self-help books that could be summarised with just one of Sherie's nuggets of wisdom. I've thought a lot about how many of those sessions Sherie had with how many people, and it makes me think that there are people probably every day having similar moments of clarity and understanding and awareness inspired by her work.
Sherie approached her work in crisis pregnancy in a very particular way, and her mantra always was to place the woman with the crisis at the centre of the whole process. She always let the woman tell her story first and get it out. She was so aware that the woman not only brought in her beliefs, her needs, her expectations, but she brought in everyone else's. But she absolutely trusted women to make their own decisions. And she always shared that ethos with us. Because for her, it wasn't about ego, it wasn't about power, it certainly wasn't about income, God love her. It was about how to get the best service to as many people as possible who needed it.
Not a day without my heart breaking, inexorable, implacable groundhog. This bruising redundancy, a normal now. Not a day without sabotage. Shards of the meanings we made of brazen life. That life tilted, its axis cracked. Thus grief, the ravening creditor. This is a poem about grief, and thus a poem of love for always.
I'm Marguerite, and I'm the counselling manager here in One Family. I worked for many years with Sherie, and I was honoured to take over the excellent service she developed here. Whilst we are a very good counselling service, we have a gap in perinatal therapy. This is a special kind of therapeutic work with a mother and her new baby, which helps to develop lifelong attachments. We often see mothers who are so stressed in their pregnancy or their life circumstances that they find it difficult to bond. The first days, weeks and months are absolutely crucial to a baby, and we would like to help these vulnerable families get off to a better start.